everyone. Welcome to the next installment of Interview with Entrepreneurs. We are chatting to Jem Cooper, who is, or was, a professional ballerina, is a professional triathlete, author, entrepreneur, and, changing lives. Yes. So, Jem, welcome. I'm really excited to have you here. And I've got so many questions for you. I've actually really been looking forward to this interview, because I really love what you're doing in that. So let's maybe start off first. Tell us, what is Carrie Jemina Cooper International all about?
Carrie Jemima Cooper. Well, so my business is a long time coming, but basically from a lifetime of kind of high level sport and being a very kind of high striving world, a very kind of intense world of elite sport. I learned a fair few things about managing a mindset of things that take you to success in different places. And sport was very much where I started. So as a ballerina, I went through the ranks and ended up as a professional ballerina. Overcame quite a lot of pretty difficult health challenges, unfortunately, which led through lots of turbulence to me leaving that career, and I stepped into triathlon. I'm not actually a professional triathlete just yet. I'm an elite triathlete, so on the path to facing yet again an injury. So unfortunately, my chase for professional was getting a little bit delayed. But basically, Carrie Jemima Cooper International is very much the umbrella term for what I do, which is peak performance coaching or mentorship at large. So I work with people that are striving for success or very successful already, but they want to get up to another level and there's something missing. And it's a hard place to navigate, when you're striving for big things, when you're wanting to make big changes in your communities or within your own life or create big businesses. It can be a lonely and confusing place to be. And people that are that kind of that guild, if you like, people that want to change the world in a certain way, whether that's their world or a broader aspect, they're good, strong learners. They're adaptable people. They've often been through quite a lot of stuff that's taught them a lot of lessons, but now they're kind of overwhelmed with just so much information, so many opportunities, so many possibilities. And lots of people come to me in a place of, hey, this is going great, but I'm stuck at 6 figures. How do I make multiple six? Or I'm stuck at 5 figures and I know there's more for me. Or, hey, I've made really good progress in my business, but I am burnt to a crisp and it's only a matter of time before other things start to fall apart. So I help people sort of combine the whole spectrum of different components between their lifestyle and their business to help them move forwards and elevate themselves up. So I work with people.
So question on that. I mean, let's dwell into that a bit more. What is the biggest success blocker you find? I mean, I know from my perspective, it's mindset, right? That's what stopped me going from 4 figures to 5 figures to 6 figures to 7 figures to 8 figures. Every single time it was mindset. For you, what do you find is the most common?
Well, I think it's interesting you say that. Mindset is a massive, massive component, but actually what I have a 4-pronged approach. And I do not believe that really long-term success can be achieved to its highest level unless all 4 are in place. So I kind of picture it. Sustained success is what the goal is. We don't want to be successful for a one-hit hero, 1 year of great income, then fall off a cliff, that kind of thing. And lots of people I work with certainly are going for a legacy build here. They want something that's meaningful enough to change lives. I work with service providers in kind of transformative industries of types, life coaches, business coaches, various things like that. But we think of sustained success as kind of a table, a very stable table. And, you can picture it, the kind of Sunday dinner with your family. It's very secure, stable. It's not going anywhere. And you can put stress on it and it's still where it is. And whether that's at your 6-figure mark or multiple 6 or 7 or 8 or, however you go. The 4 pillars of that table to keep everything in alignment are the body, the mind, energy, and business. And I call them the body, budget, mindset, mastery, energy drivers, and business systems. Now, if any one of those pillars is out of alignment, squiffy, or not as long as the other, it's not kind of supported as much as the other,
yes,
you might be okay because 3 can kind of bring you up. But the problem comes when there's a lot of stress. So, hey, you're having a big launch, so your business systems are kind of working in overdrive, but you're not actually looking after your body. So there's loads of plates being piled up on the business, on the body budget. You're out of sleep, you're not eating very well. And if that body budget is already low, then it goes past the point that things can stay on that stable alignment, and then things elsewhere slip off, things start to slip and things start to slide, and probably that business, that launch wouldn't have been as successful or sustainable as possible. On the flip side, also, it's all very well doing all this personal development and being great at meditation and yoga, 4 times a week, and you've got really good sort of energy alignment and you great 6-pack abs and a solid mindset, but your business system isn't carrying that up. So, hey, that's great that you want to go on a yoga retreat, but how are you going to afford that? Because actually, your sales funnel isn't correct, or maybe you've actually set yourself up that you don't have an automatable business, you don't have a scalable business. So when you don't work, it doesn't work for you. Yes. So there's a problem. And we see this a lot in the kind of coaching industry at large, in the business industry. There's so many gurus focusing on one thing, or lots of courses promising this. You see all these testimonials for these, we'll make you a billionaire in 5 minutes and all the rest of it. And absolutely, they all can, they're people that get results. But the problem is the case studies are a minority, right? The case studies and the testimonials you'll see on those pages are the minority. And lots of people go into these courses and they don't seem to breathe the same success as all the people that they were sold into. And why is that? Well, it's not because anything's wrong with the course. And I absolutely believe, I'm not a sales expert. I'm not an ads expert. And if I need that help, I will go to the right person that has that expertise. But there's no one sort of guiding these very high striving, very high achieving people to bring all of that information together and work out which aspects to apply at the right time. And no one's giving the whole spectrum that the individual, the high performing human, needs to make a high performing result. So although mindset is a massive component, mindset without the other 3 pillars is not going to be as sustainable or as effective in the long run as it could be if you looked after the whole picture.
So, one of the arguments I always get, I understand the 4 pillars that you need, but one of the arguments I often get, and I'm also guilty of it, is the physical aspect, is, well, business is going well. I'm working hard. My mindset's right. My systems are in place. I've got all of this stuff, but I'm not really focusing on my, health or, or my physical appearance or, just getting fit and stuff. A lot of people say, well, I just don't have the time for it. And I'm guilty of that too. I like to go and get some exercise and that, but then, like a morning would come, and like this morning, and then it's like, yeah, okay, maybe tomorrow. we often do that. Do you actually feel that the physical aspect is really key to all of this?
Well, Dennis, what if I flipped that and told you that actually your physical could make you money? If your exercise can make you money, and I have a few ways that can happen. Because it obviously, there's lots of people that think the same way, and there's lots of people who say, hey, if I slept under my desk and worked 25 hours a day, then I would be more successful. And you maybe would, but you'd also, be either overweight or underweight because you haven't kind of focused on yourself, and you would, who knows what you'd be like at 60.
Yes.
But that's a given. That your grandparents told you it's good to get outside once a day, and we're told by the government to go walking for the rest. But what does that mean in terms of entrepreneurs? Because we're not ordinary people, per se. We're doing something that's extraordinary. First thing I would say, and just to put it into perspective, is I very much see your body as your success vehicle, right? So it doesn't matter where you plug in your GPS to go to in your car. If you're sitting in your car, it doesn't matter where you plug in your GPS to go to, how scenic the route, how pretty the route, how fast the route, how many motorways you go on, how fast your car is. If that vehicle isn't full of fuel and it's not got 4 wheels that are pumped up, you're not necessarily going to get to that destination. Doesn't matter where you put the destination,
Yes.
and no matter what the route is, you're not going to achieve that. If you run out of fuel halfway, you're going to stop there. Same thing that, hey, if you have got it almost right, but actually your tires are a bit flat, you're going to cause a lot of resistance. Or, if you have a bike on the top of your car, it's going to be slightly slower because there's more air resistance. And it just drags along when you're going on, and you get to your destination maybe, but it's a struggle. It's harder work. You're not in flow. You're not in a ultimate state of achievement. So that's just a perspective to put it in. Your body, see that as your success vehicle. If you get that right, you can transport yourself wherever you want to go, in whichever route, however pretty, however fast. If you get it fueled, oiled, and there's no resistance, no extra resistance. But that also, again, is just a sexy way of saying what I just said about our grandparents told us to go outside.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not gonna convince anyone. So how do we flip this and actually make it more attractive for entrepreneurs who have a goal of building a business and make money? Well, there's different types of exercise for different things. And I'm going to give you a couple of sort of really fundamental examples. Number one, this high intensity training, HIIT training. So we go all out for short bouts of time. Well, that can be a really, really useful transferable skill, because we have time in businesses, depending on your model. You might have a launch where you need to be absolutely on it, and it's going to be high stress. And you need to make sure that every time, especially as you're growing your business, you are able to expand where you can go. You need to stretch, because you don't want to make constant 5,000 pound launches. You want to get 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 500,000. You want to grow it. And that's the same. What high intensity training does is pushes your body physically to just increase the level of intensity that you can get to, and expands your capacity. So that and a mindset can really transfer into your ability to go hard and fast. Also, things like interviews, when you can bring high energy for a short space of time, you might be knackered afterwards, but you can bring that energy and switch it on when you need to. Then we switch to kind of cardio and aerobic training. Well, there's some really fundamental research that shows how cardio, if you're kind of going for 45 minutes to an hour of kind of steady state cardio intensity, that's really, really good, because it adds more blood flow to your brain. And you often find people going, my best ideas came on a run or a bike ride. I'm exactly the same. Well, if you have a business problem, try going for a run and see if you can find the answer afterwards. And that is, nothing fluffy. It's purely, there is more blood flow going to your neurons, and it stimulates them. It's also good to, you can cement memories in your brain, so it can help with learning or when you're putting things into place.
Yes.
We then have endurance training, which is all about the kind of keeping strong and keeping going. And I think endurance training is very much a mindset tool. We know that entrepreneurship is a marathon, not a sprint, but there's lots of transfer again. And there's a lot of opportunity for sort of deep time when you're doing that. Repetitive movements really help us get into ourselves and understand ourselves. So lots of times you learn a lot about yourself when you're doing an Ironman or an ultra marathon or something like that. And it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's definitely an opportunity to seriously go deep within the who, what, and why of what you are. And that often uncovers things that then transfer into business. And the final one I want to bring, two more exactly, I want to bring: strength training and things like Pilates resistance. Now, as business people, effectively what a sale is a transference of confidence. I am confident in your product and I'm going to buy it, especially if you're a coach or a service-based industry. I give my money to people I trust will give me the outcome, and I'm confident they'll get me there faster, slicker, more effectively. Now, if you can change your body language, since words are only 7% of what we actually interpret, your body language is kind of 50 or 60% of what we do. If you can strengthen your posture muscles, your abdominal muscles, your back muscles, using things like Pilates or gym workouts, and so you are able to hold yourself strong and proud, I'm a very different person talking to you like this than I am, like this. And that comes across. So if I'm in a sales school, so you can use some of things like that to improve your conversion rates, for example, and that can, again, make you money. And then the final one I would say is some of the best business relationships I have made are not on social media. They're not in, kind of through email lists. They're not on Facebook Lives. They are in sports teams when I've been sweating my behind off in a running, in a running club or in triathlon I'm in now. It's a very affluent community. And so there's a lot of people that are very successful in business. We often see crossover between sports people and business people. So that's a great opportunity to learn people when the hair comes down, and actually start relationships. So looking for team sports can be a great way to build business relationships. And as I say, I've made a couple of joint ventures with athletes I've met at races or I've met in training. And so if we look at sport that way, using it as our body as that vehicle, whether that's simply a vehicle in the sense that I've got to look after the house of ideas or the house of action, or you look at it, how can I use my body to put it into scenarios such as training to then, give me other benefits. You can look at it that way.
So let's talk a bit about your business. What did it cost you to get started? What I mean by that is there's obviously the emotional cost as well as obviously the monetary cost in that. Do you feel that you actually had to have an entire mindset shift to actually start your own business, or did it just come naturally, or how did that work? And then obviously, starting off, one of the big questions that come up is, I just don't have money to actually start a business. Your thoughts on that?
The ultimate resource is being resourceful. And I think I definitely had to be. So this is actually my 5th business that I'm on. I started my first stint at entrepreneurship. No, I didn't know it was when I fell out of ballet, having nothing, no one, and no identity, very much being lost, knowing what to do. And I got a Pilates qualification, which was a very successful little business. Not that I really called it a business, but it funded my first couple of years at uni. And I started that and started to learn how to do kind of offline marketing. And then I fell into kind of online marketing and what I did for many years through my triathlon. Once I started triathlon, I went through the ranks quite quickly to find that it was a blooming expensive sport and I didn't know how to fund it.
I've heard that.
Yeah, absolutely. But there were other people that did. So I just looked who was already achieving what I wanted to and reverse engineered what they were doing and found that, there's sponsorship. That's quite a good idea, but I need a social media. I didn't have Instagram. I hated social media. I'd grown up on a farm and I was just like, I don't have time for this. But realized it would be quite kind of lucrative. And I learned how to do sponsorship, which led me to get into a company, which I was an intern for a couple of weeks and turned into account manager once he realized I could probably add more than making a coffee or two. Yes. And that was my first I got into sports marketing when I was at university and started consulting. So I had a first consultancy business working for companies doing sports marketing strategy. And then that developed into a full-blown kind of marketing agency as well, which was a natural progression and one that was the best and the worst professional experience in my life, really. We grew massively fast. We're very, very profitable. And I burnt out within kind of 10 months of doing it. We scaled and best thing I ever did, because I had that experience of what burnout was like, doing things the wrong way without systems. And it afforded me the best professional experience I kind of ever had, I guess.
I can actually relate to it. I've been through that myself, like massive growth and then burning out and just, downward spiral
it's like you have nothing. Like I'd been burnt out on occasion in sport, but this was different. It was like my whole purpose, like everything.
Yes. People don't understand. It's like the end of the world kind of.
Yeah, just so stuck. I was like, I just didn't know. And I was going around in circles. And then, you're making this money. It's like, well, it must be good. I'm making this money and I'm, and nothing cuts the mustard. Like, maybe it's a new computer that will solve it. And it's like, no, going around in circles. And then I started another business, which is actually, could have been a very, very profitable business. I kind of fell out of love with it. Again, it was like a stepping stone. And I'm doing a joint venture and picking it back up with someone, but that was working with athletes on personal branding. And eventually I got to where I am. And it was actually, I went to that stage of burnout. Things lots of my world changed. I moved to Spain and life changed in many ways. And I eventually found a mentor. I'd never invested in personal development in the business space. I had in personal development, but not in the business space before. And I ended up in wildly investing in a mentorship, or kind of a mastermind program.
Okay.
Which was the most incredible experience in my life, I guess, because it was like, I'm no longer playing small in business. I don't want to do what I was doing with clients that I didn't enjoy working with, who treated me like, rubbish and doing time for money. I didn't want to do that anymore.
Yes.
And this was so significant. Like, it really signified to myself that I was no longer playing small, and it opened up a whole wealth of opportunity. Not necessarily the mentors, great people, great advice from them, but it was the network it opened up, and then what that led to. And I have spent the last kind of 6 months making connections, and my biggest investment of all, a lot of kind of deep work, working out what I truly wanted and where my best value was provided, but a massive investment in relationships, networking, and just giving value to other people and making those connections.
100%. I think I think a lot of us that actually have gone the mentorship or coaching route in that, I'd rather say mentorship than coaching. Because you kind of want to learn from people that have actually been there and done that. I think my biggest significant change in my businesses, and this was many years ago that I started that, was also through my mentor, where I actually, it opened up my mind, my business, my network, everything. It just opened it up, and it just offered so much opportunity. And I grew so fast that I actually, that's when I really actually understood the value of a mentor, because having that person there to support you and stuff. I mean, because that's what you do with your clients as well. I mean, it's mentorship. You're guiding them, holding their hand. You're showing them that, listen, you're not alone in this. I'm here to hold your hand, and we've been through this. Let's take you on the journey.
So true. I really actually don't believe. There's a time and a place for coaches. Absolutely. Like, I have a sports coach, a triathlon coach, and he dictates what I do, and he tells me how many minutes to, nearly puke for, and how many minutes to think my heart's going to come out for, recover. And again, there are coaches for specific reasons, and there's so much good material there. But I think when you are striving for something more, when you are really making a kind of a world shattering business. And I mean that, it sounds very grandiose, but I mean, it could be your world shattering, whatever is the best rich version of your business for you. Then you need like a guiding star, right? To help bring this noise, help take away the noise, and give you a little bit of a framework, just give you edges, right?
So do you find that, a mentor versus a coach in that? Because this debate comes up often, and I thought, well, I might as well cover this while I'm chatting to you. Because you've got experience with both, right? Is a coach is more the, what you need to do, whereas the mentor is more the how do you need to do it. So they'll tell you what to do, but they'll focus a lot on the how you actually need to do it, which I think is where the biggest gap is. Do you agree with that kind of assessment?
I very much see that the important role of a mentor is to empower the individual to make their own decisions, and tell them, and basically help them have the autonomy, authority, and personal understanding to therefore be able to make the right decisions for them. The problem with coaching,
based on experience, obviously, based on your personal experience,
totally personal experience. And also often, well, certainly me, I have very, very close relationships with a lot of people who have done, same, but different. So, people that have got different models for their business, but I've worked with them as partnerships. So although it's not my personal experience, I have personal relational experience. So I've lived that, or seen it, and seen the, lots of varied experience can come in for sure.
100%.
I think there's a lot of coaches out there that say, I did it this way, so you are going to do it my way. And I have a real problem with that.
Me too. I think each person is quite unique. Each business is quite unique. Yes, model others, right? So you can model what I've done, but not copy, not do it exactly the same. We take the principles and concepts of how one person's done it and done it successfully, and kind of model it within your business at the end of the day. So let's talk about your first few clients, right? Was it hard to get that first one or two clients?
Yeah, it was initially, and that was because I was trying to figure out who, what, and why I was for who I was serving. And it kind of, the world was serving me lots of very like different people. There was people coming right at the beginning of their business. There was, CEOs and executives that were twice, if not more, my age, and like coming from a very different like place. So people coming just for mindset. There were people coming just for business. And so it was kind of like working out where to, like which angle to go down. And I think what was a blessing and a curse is there was so much opportunity, and I'd spent such a lot of time developing this and going deep myself, going deep with others, making these relationships, that actually I'd opened up so many cans of worms. I just didn't know which one to focus on now, because I wasn't, sitting here with thousands and thousands of investment, and I wasn't, sitting here with a 5-year strong business. So that was a little bit tricky, but then it's almost like you have to start with a couple to know who, what, and why you want to work with. And I don't really believe in prospecting. Prospecting is very tiring, especially when you're working in this way. It's a bit different when I work in programs. I have a program opening very, very soon, but with one-to-one, it's about positioning yourself in front of the right people in the right way. Correct. And it's like, I don't jump on sales calls. I just jump on relationship development calls. And if that relationship, is the right one for us to have, and I can help you, then that vibe is, inevitable.
100%. I do exactly the same thing. It's like, I don't do sales calls and stuff. Yeah. It's like, let's meet. Let's do like an introductory kind of session. Yeah. Let me feel you out. Let me feel you feel me out. See if we're even a fit, personality wise, all of that.
And believe me, I've done it. I've done the sales calls, and I sit there like following this script, and it's like, it's so not me. And I've done the DM thing, and I don't like the DM thing, and I've done all the things. And then it's just like, and that was at the beginning before I kind of wrote my formula and wrote my framework, which is becoming CEO of your best rich life. And that just means you take ownership of whatever way you want to create whatever version of the best and the rich. Not necessarily in money, like rich in life and living and time and all the things you want, but how you create that best rich life. There are a million ways to make £1 million. You can take, a bit out of that. And no one's gonna, the world economy is not gonna notice if you take £1 million out of the world economy, right? So it is out there, and there are so many ways to get there. So you just gotta, tap into a few different ones, find what doesn't work, exclude, find what does work, maybe do more of that, and then find where your combination comes through to do it your way. And it was only really like, I tried all the things, webinars, challenges, and certainly from my old business as well, which is a good learning curve, sales calls, DMs. I just that wasn't me. But what was me was partnerships, relationships, like affiliates, and doing some lives where I'm just talking to people, doing my YouTube show. Like, that was me. And probably in the business books, is it the best way, or, the way that they'd do it in these formulaic courses? No. Does it work for me? Is it profitable? Yes. Well, there we go.
I think that's the lesson here is, a lot of people, they start out, and we're talking about obviously service-based industry here, is they're trying to be everything to everyone to try and find what that thing is who they really are and who they really want to serve. But in the beginning, you kind of do need to spread it out a bit to try and determine and test each thing and see, okay, well, do I want to deal with this kind of person? Do I want to do that, et cetera, until you've actually defined it. But once you've defined that path that you're on, I mean, I found mine, a few years ago, but before that, I was everywhere. I was trying to be everything for everyone, and I was burning out, I wasn't enjoying half the stuff. And eventually I said, I only want to focus on these kinds of people. I only want to do this. This is what I want to focus on. And it's just been an upward spiral for me since I've actually defined it. But I do feel you've got to go through that learning curve right in the beginning so that you understand that feeling of, okay, well, and I'm going to use an example here of someone. They're doing websites, then they're doing graphics, then they're doing funnels, then they're doing marketing. They're doing a whole bunch of different things to provide an overall solution, but their passion isn't in each one of those. Yes, their skill level is, but who do they really want to be, what do they really want to focus on, and then who's their client that they want to focus on at the end of the day. So let's talk about, I mean, you haven't really pivoted any of your businesses, have you?
Pivoted. Well, it's interesting because I guess what I'm doing now is a culmination of everything I've done in many ways. It's like the four businesses in one. It really is. So like even the athlete personal branding business, a lot of that was to do with kind of your mindset. And I have a psychology degree and kind of informally have coached people in mindset for a very long time. So it's kind of a culmination of all of them. I would say there's been a lot of pivots in the way I have marketed my business until I found the right one. And outside of business, I very much, my friends call me the rebrand expert because I've rebranded myself on many, many occasions, and I'm never afraid to kind of do the same. So, yeah.
Been through that. Okay, let's, I mean, customers, if we're looking at like the post-COVID era that we're currently in, right? Where everyone is pretty much online, you know, the way you communicate is online, you know, the face-to-face kind of interaction has kind of taken a back seat, you know, in a lot of cases, in a lot of industries, is how do you meaningfully connect with customers now? You know, how can you do that? Because I must be honest, I'm a face-to-face kind of person, right? So I love being in front of someone, having a chat, shaking their hand, you know, listening to their story. I love that, you know. So Zoom is like, okay, cool, we can do this. And I now obviously do all my mentorship and stuff on Zoom and that, but I miss that face-to-face interaction. So how do you meaningfully connect with customers now in this tech era?
I think that it's a really good question. I think there's still a lot to be desired. In kind of in the way it works and the education around it as well. It's very interesting. I'm just getting into more and more the power of being able to read people's body language, being able to read kind of conversational, I don't even know how to say it, kind of relationship building, but looking at how people communication, that's the word I'm looking for, kind of communication, but non-verbal communication. And yes, okay, ideally we see people's hands and their body and the way they're standing and we see them offline, but actually online, there's a lot you can learn, even kind of when you get good at it, you know, the micro expressions in the face and things like that. When you don't get, you know, we're just starting off, there's some really simple things about how someone is holding the tonality of their voice and things like that. So putting some effort into really understanding the psychology of the person, or like the psychology of communication, is an area that I definitely recommend you look into. I was listening to a great guy talking on my show actually, called Alan Stevens, who is a guy in Australia who is rocking this space. Another great book is Never Split the Difference, which is a great negotiation book that has a lot of things in it. So really taking the time of day to get good at your craft, because, you know, like you say, we are service providers, and not only will that help you in your, you know, sales calls that aren't sales calls, or in your coaching relationship, but it will help offline as well with your kids or your family, or it's something you can practice with even people in the supermarket when you want a discount, or, you know, you want a special offer, or, you know, whatever it is. So I would say that's really important. Getting on camera whenever possible. We know this video is huge. People want connection. I think is really cool. But also, I think it's been very interesting for me. Some of the best networking groups and online groups, or previously online groups I've been working with, actually are bringing their communities off a Facebook platform or off a traditional social media platform that's become very noisy and lots of kind of negative-ish connotations with algorithms and just sleazy salesmen. And oh my gosh, the amount of DMs I get trying to sell me PR placements and all of this stuff every day. I just and actually into an environment that's like, oh, this is ours, this is my community, whether that's like a WhatsApp or a Mighty Networks or a community platform that is specifically in where people actively go to participate in a community, because then your community, your audience is set up to contribute, rather than being set up in a place that's very noisy and crowded and there's lots of distractions. So I think that can be a useful tool for people as well.
You know, I kind of look at that, and so I've got a community. So I've got just over 3,600 students that have done my courses and that. And in our membership area, we've got a community. So people sit and they chat to each other there, etc. Now, there's a downside to actually having that I've found personally, right? Is yes, it's great for my community and they're loving it because they can ask questions. They've got direct connection to me, to my WhatsApp. It connects to my WhatsApp or to my Messenger. They can book sessions. They can do video. It's all in one little closed off area. But the problem is when you're looking at new business development or you're looking to get your brand out there or get exposure in terms of what you're doing, nobody is seeing that because it's kind of closed off to your existing clients. Whereas those are, and you're like, say, for instance, your Facebook group or whatever the case is, they're kind of just looking at the posts that you're generally putting up and then scheduled or whatever the case is. They're not seeing the kind of questions that are asked in that. I mean, don't you think that there's, I mean, how do you find that balancing act at the end?
That is a really good point. And I think thank you for bringing that up. And I think there's the stages and phases of your business as well, because I imagine that you didn't necessarily start there. Lots of people I work with.
I started in a private group, a Facebook group.
Okay.
That's what I had.
A Facebook group.
So I had a private Facebook group and everyone was, and it was only clients in there. But then I was like, it's so hard managing these different platforms. Let's just pull it all into one thing and let's be fancy.
Totally.
That's basically.
Well, I get that. And I think it comes back to what is your route like? Like for me, one of the main ways I bring people into my world and when I'm opening up my program, that is almost fully, there will be a few quizzes and a few ads and things going to that course to expand the reach of it. But the lump sum of it is going to be through referrals and networking, and other people can, linking with partners and using their email lists or their non-buyers list or their non-active buyers list and things like this. So doing the recycling, as my mentor calls it, when you're partnering with people and kind of giving commissions and things like that. So for me, the visibility is more to do with referrals, and for that program, that it doesn't really matter where I house a community because it's about the value I give and the way it supports. There are also benefits, obviously, of having a Facebook group. Even if you have a Facebook group that is private, but it has 20,000 members, you're going to be like, I better rock up this one because it looks good. So I see that, and it depends on your model, and it's there's no right or wrong way to do it. It has to fit with where you are now. I do see that as a problem. To be honest, I think there is still a lot to be desired in community platforms. There's a lot of people trying hard. Circle's great.
There's a gap in the market for a proper, that you can do. I mean, I've got another Facebook group, which I originally started, it's about 3 years ago, and it's got about 60,000 members in it.
Wow.
I don't even manage it anymore at all. It's because it's impossible to manage. It would take all day to remove spam, remove comments, remove, X, Y, Z. It's just, and you get the wrong kind of people on board. For instance, the Facebook group that I currently have, it's got a very small amount of people, but over 70% of those people are actual clients. So there's a different dynamic compared to the, 50,000, 60,000 size group in there. There's less than 1% actually are, at the end of the day. But it'd be nice to find that balance somewhere where we can still have our closed off community, but still create branding and stuff around that.
Yeah, so true. And it's very interesting. I was speaking to someone on another podcast earlier this week, and they were just going, I'm so sick of all these groups that used to be great. I used to love giving value. I used to, get great feedback on, statements I'd make or posts I was going to put up. It used to be awesome. And now it's just people selling it, or, hey, I made 20 grand this week. Who wants my freebie? And it's like, just stop. There's too much. So I'm
a 6 or 7 figure coach. Come and sign up with me. All of that crap.
And so is Brenda next door, and Susan next to her, and Stephen next to him. So
exactly. You get so tired of that. So let's talk marketing, right? How important do you feel marketing is for your business?
So that's a very, very broad term.
I know, because we're talking marketing. Yeah, I'm not necessarily talking about paid marketing. It could be organic or whatever the case is. But a lot of entrepreneurs that are on, my page, and, even clients and that, prior to them actually starting any of the courses and that, their thoughts on marketing was, I don't really need it. If I build it, they will come. So the question is really targeted around,
Goodness.
Feel that
Well,
market
I was going to say exactly that. I had it's very interesting. One of the last clients I had as a consultant, killer product, amazing by scientists, amazing research, professors, top of their game building this product. They spent literally 98% of their investment budget, which was a large investment budget, on developing their product. Brought me in. And we had the initial discussion. They were like, and I was like, so when do we launch? They're like, so we're thinking about launching in 10 days. And they had no money, no money. I was like, so can we do advertising? How much does that cost? And they're like, no money. And they basically, their marketing budget was bringing like me and a PR person in, and that was it. And I was like, well, you know, we can only do so much, you know, like yes. It's the kind of thing. It was very interesting. And I've been there myself because it's very comfy creating, because I know like my courses are good, my delivery, my content is good, my stuff like that. And so it's very comfy. I feel very confident in just making pretty slideshows or making videos or coming up with course ideas and content. That's comfy because I'm very confident. And then when I put it out in the big wide world, then it can get, even as a marketer, it can be quite daunting because there's a lot of people that you think, and you're comparing yourself to people that are on day 5,000 when you're on day 2, and it's hard. But I'm a big believer in sort of being able to adapt and realizing that things can always change. I mean, I've done it a fair few times in my life, and I translate it into business. Like you start, you test, you learn what works, what doesn't, and then you can adapt. Nothing is set in stone. And even if you think you've done all your branding and then you realize 2 months down the line it was rubbish, you can still change it. You know, there's enough people that haven't seen it yet. There's ways around this. I'm a big fan of things like case study launches and beta launches, because lots of people have this money issue right at the beginning, and they think it's like, well, I can't wait 6 months to build this thing and then get customers, because that's going to take another 3 months. And it's a whole year of their life that they've lost and they've struggled, and they've, you know, been in that toil and torment of, I'm keeping this horrible 9 to 5 because I don't think I can make money. So doing things like beta launches and case studies where you let people in for either you're going to have a great time, get X result, or you'll get your money back, or they get a big discount and they know that it's for testimonials, feedback, and things like that. Letting people, the building programs out that way where you can start making money from day one is great. One thing I would say is I've started up businesses in the past, which are vitamins, not pill businesses. And by that, I mean, they're nice to haves, but people don't need them. Like you're not going to, if you have a really bad headache and someone offers you an aspirin, you're not going to say no. You want the headache to go away. And that is a pill product, something you really need. But a vitamin is like, well, you wouldn't have had the headache if you'd taken your multivitamin every morning, like your doctor had said, and eaten your broccoli. But like, you know, is it life or death if we eat broccoli or not? Probably not. I'll do it tomorrow. And lots of people love the idea of vitamins. They love the idea of the 6-pack and a healthy, you know, body and the kick-ass morning routine. But when money is on the line, it's a very different conversation. And that's where beta and case studies work very well, because market research is fine to a point. But if I say, you know, do you want to buy a chocolate cake? You'll go, yeah, of course I want to buy a chocolate cake. Okay. And, you know, and then you put, well, this chocolate cake is very special. It's £20,000. Okay. I don't want to buy it. You know, I'm not gonna
yeah, exactly.
So like, that is very important as well in terms of your marketing, to actually realize that, you know, whether you can sell the product or not is far more important than what the product is. The transformation is important. Once you have that nailed, nail your transformation before you nail the how-to, the ins and outs, and the bullet points on your sales page.
Oh, of course. I think I follow that principle very much myself too. And that at the end of the day, though it did take quite a learning curve to figure that out. I won't lie.
Listen to us so you don't have to do it.
Yeah, but I learned the hard way, you know, in terms of how to actually do these things, etc., over lots of failures and setbacks and stuff like that. But I mean, you're spot on. I agree 100% with that. I mean, I also do a lot of pre-sales on my stuff as well. So I pre-sell for up to 3 months sometimes prior to actual launch, but I set the expectation it's being launched then, and I offer like major discounts, like 90%, you know, plus, you know, kind of discounts and that, try and, you know, just to see what the interest is at the
It's a
end of the
long
day.
game. Long game, and people also like getting beta testers. My new program, I have 10 beta testers coming in, and they're great because they told me stuff I didn't even realize, or they'd spotted spelling mistakes that I'd been through all of the checks, got my VAs to go through the checks, and they'd still noticed them because they'd seen them in a different light. So these people that are actually willing to help you as well can be so useful.
I love those because they offer so much value. Like I say, okay,
yeah.
You went through this, you explained this in your course. I'm not too sure about this aspect. You think, you know what, I should actually adapt that module or maybe lesson or whatever in the course to say they've actually got a good point. I'm kind of assuming, because I'm dealing with it on a different level, that I'm kind of assuming you know that aspect and you don't. Let's rather add that in.
Exactly.
So it's added huge value to my courses as well, in terms of, I normally get in about 5-10 people and just let them run. Obviously, people you can trust that that are going to be honest. Don't spare my feelings at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about failures and setbacks. We don't have much time left, but I mean, one of the things that we want to cover is failures and setbacks. A lot of entrepreneurs are extremely scared of failures, or they're facing setbacks, etc. And they just want to give up. They want to throw in the towel and say, "Nah, I can't do this." Let's talk about how you've dealt with it in your personal experiences.
This is one I get asked quite a lot. I think probably because people sometimes look at my story and go, wow, there's a lot of things that have gone very, very wrong. Yet I bounce back, and that's something I've done. If I'm completely honest, I get really, really excited when things go really, really wrong, which is really weird to explain. And it's the hardest thing to explain. I mean, if anyone could watch me at the time, you'd see it, I suppose, in my body. But for instance, the last time when I decided to go a different route from my athlete branding business, I spent lots of money, loads of time developing this thing, and it was a vitamin, not a pill product, like I explained just earlier. And I was on the call with my mentor, and we were actually in a group call, and there was 30 other 7 and 8 and 1 9-figure entrepreneur standing there, and I was going, explain my business. And the mentor just turned to me and he's like, Jem, I would never invest in that business. No one's gonna, it's a vitamin, not a pill product. And I was like, oh God, what do I do now? Yeah. And I was going through the rest of the call going I just want to hide in a shell and cry. And I finished the call, shut my laptop, and I just started to giggle. I was just like, this is so cool. What is coming next? And I had no idea what was coming next, but I was like, well, this is for a reason. It's very much for a reason. What is coming now? And it was awesome, because it gave me this massive expanse of space then to go and find what I truly wanted to do. And it's led me to where I am today, which gets me leaping out of bed and excited. But I mean, that is a consequence now. That kind of, and it really was, I embodied the emotion. I actually spent so many days just being smiling, just I knew it was a real cock up, really. It was lots of money, lots of time, lots of audience I'd used up, if you like, selling this product that I wasn't then going to pursue, and all sort of things I could have looked at negatively. But I knew it was okay, every time a door shuts, what's coming next? And I've learned that very much through lots of very difficult life experiences, I guess, coming from 16 years of dance, walking out with nothing, being a retiree at 19 and not knowing what to do. And then, finding other things and finding entrepreneurship and finding triathlon, and that opening up doors, and then having an injury, but that opened up new doors. And, every time a door slams in your face, there's always something coming. And I have learned
that next one is always better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you can just roll with it, if you can let yourself feel hurt and angry for a moment, and then actually go, hey, I could just reinterpret the situation and see it slightly differently, and interpret my emotions and my body sensations I'm getting right now, not as disappointment, but actually as okay, what's to come, and not as stress, but actually positive stress. Then things can change.
Yeah,
so I get excited.
I think it's kind of a lot of mindset change there too. Because I mean, I face, even now, I'll face setbacks or something that comes, and whenever that happens, the first thing I think of is, well, we've been through this before, and it's always worked out. So
yeah,
just go with the flow.
Roll with it.
Let's see what's going to open up. Let's see what's actually going to happen, and take it from there, just kind of trusting in yourself and, well, the universe at large, that it's going to come out. So if we had to kind of look at what do you wish you knew before you actually started this last business venture of yours, what is that one thing that you would say is, okay, this would be number one here that I wish I knew before I started my business?
100% do it your way. Like really, really.
I love that.
Take aspects of what other people are telling you and then do it your way, because trying to be someone you're not is never going to get you results. So try lots of things until you find the one that feels right and you really feel it in your belly, like not just on the surface of, this could be okay, but really feel it truly that this feels like a right path, and then do that and have the kind of peace of mind and autonomy to say no to others that say you absolutely have to do it their way. You absolutely don't. Take ownership of it.
I absolutely love that. And would you say that success comes fast as an entrepreneur, or is it a long road?
Fast,
in your view?
Definitely.
Because a lot of entrepreneurs, and let me explain why I asked the question. A lot of entrepreneurs come and they've got their plan, and whether they're coming for mentorship or they're doing a course, or this is people we meet online, is I'm starting my business and we're looking at generating at least 7 or 8 figures, within the first 6 to 12 months. They kind of think there's this expectation that entrepreneurship is fast. Your thoughts on that?
It can be fast. It can be streamlined. A lot of time, overnight success was 10 years in the making. But I would never, there's not a right way and a wrong way. If it takes you 20 years to make a legacy, that's wonderful. If it takes you 20 minutes to become an 8-figure entrepreneur, that's also wonderful. But I'm not interested in whether you can make things fast. I'm interested in whether you can make it fast and stay. Staying power. So but I would always, absolutely, I'm an athlete, so look for ways to make it faster if you can. So I would definitely say look for opportunities where it's kind of, yes, it may be the more expensive option initially, but it's the thing that gets you better results, whether that's software,
get you better results faster.
Totally. Or, doing that investment in the right kind of mentorship, or the investment in the right kind of team member, or whatever it is. Do the things for the longer picture, knowing that, money is cyclical. Sometimes we don't have so much, but if we stop ourselves, we just go down the spiral. So actually, where there are opportunities for extraordinary growth, look at the bigger picture to keep yourself in that momentum moving forwards.
Perfect. What would you say it takes to become a successful entrepreneur?
It takes a lot of deep personal work. Entrepreneurship is not about a sales funnel. It's not about a product. This is about really understanding intuitively the value that you're able to offer to the world, and being able to capture that. So I would say, don't be afraid to go deep in some of the stuff and work out who you really are and what you truly want. And once you have that figured out, then you can take whichever direction the world throws at you. So
let's look at, before we close off, what's next for you in your business? What's happening next?
Oh, it's
where to for Carrie, Jemima, Cooper International? What's happening?
It's very, really kind of exciting time. So I'm continuing to do a little bit of one-to-one, very select kind of people. I go pretty deep with people. So I'm quite choosy, but I suppose it's a lucky place to be in, some great people. But what I'm very, very excited about is my new program that's launching in October, which will be the Best Rich Life Accelerator. And that's very much brings my framework together. It's a educational and community and networking based sort of platform, if you like, where I have my course teaching people how to really get in alignment of what they want to do, various top level business strategies. It's not necessarily from day one, although people can come in from day one and get huge value, but bringing that body, mind, energy, and business together, with a massive component on the community and connection. So I come in to the community once a week, or an expert does, to elevate their education, as well as we have a implementation call. So looking at the long run, not successful for 5 minutes, and all sorts of networking events as well. So that will be my program, which is launching and very soon. And that's really enhancing people that want to take things up a level. A book is going to be published before the end of the year, and then a few kind of joint ventures and kind of additional add-ons, kind of a flywheel of services for people at a different stage in their businesses that are coming very soon as well. So lots of growth and yeah,
exciting times.
yeah.
Definitely. Oh wow, well done. So what's that one or two things that you could leave with people, now that that are watching and that are going to listen to this afterwards, man? What do you think, as we close off, what are those 1, 2, or even 3 things that you want to leave with people?
I really want you to know, and I've kind of mentioned this a few times, but what to do inside. If you let yourself listen to that, and you let yourself be guided by you, and that can be a very, very, that's all the strength you need. There's all the kind of direction, information that you need, but it takes some time to unlearn some of the things that we've learned over time from our circles and things like that. And that's another point. Who you surround yourself with is very, very important. Both you and I both said that when we had our mentors, that was what really elevated our businesses, and probably personally, I imagine, certainly for me. And that was very much who I was surrounding myself with. If you want to play with the big dogs, you got to introduce yourself and start those, playing with them. And finally, I would say one of the biggest investments you can ever make in your business is your community and your connections. It doesn't get affected by pandemics. It doesn't get affected by downturns in the economy. Pretty much the only thing you can truly rely on is who is in your community and your circle. So really make efforts to build on that. And I think personally and professionally, you'll see the results from there.
I love that. Jem, thanks so much. It's so awesome having you and chatting to you again. Guys, anyone listening now or going to be watching the replays, etc., if you guys want to connect with Jem, please log into our membership area. If you go to the 16th of September, where Jem's profile is, you can see her entire bio and that all her connections and links on there. And if you go look in the bonus section, Jem's got like a really, really amazing offer for you. I'm actually just going to share my screen here. So if you log into our membership area, you can read about Jem. You can connect with her on the different social media platforms. But she's also offering a free clarity call, 30-minute deep dive one-on-one. So if you guys are keen, just click on book the session and get yourself booked with Jem on an available date. So great stuff. Jem, thanks so much. It's so awesome having you, and I hope we chat again soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you everyone for listening as well.
Thanks, Jem. Cheers. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.